Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we have another internet historian video. This is Fancy Oddities with a 3. Yeah, last one was wine, and I actually really liked that one a lot. I liked it a lot better than the theater one. The theater one was okay, but it went off on weird tangents that didn't make sense. But yeah, let's take a look at this one, where I'm sure it's going to jump around like crazy, but at least that is kind of going to be making sense in the long run. All right, let's get into it.
Oh, it's you.
I love the new editing.
You've completed the crash course on theatre and wine, have you? Feeling smug, are we?
Yes.
Deserving of love, perhaps? Worthy of eye contact? That's cute. But there's still a lot more work to be done. Look here. These shoes are made from real Italian leather. This bag is made from the leather of real Italians.
Wow. Man, I wasn't aware Italy had such a brutal a brutal set of designs for their stuff.
Not impressed? How about this fur coat?
Wow.
It's made from the wolf of Wall Street.
I could have expected
An
that.
Xbox with the original PT demo still installed.
Was that actually a thing?
A signed first edition copy of Moby Dick with its little-known sequel, Moby Ball.
Of course. Of course.
And last but not least, the squid from Squid Game.
Okay, this is going to be a really weird video, isn't it?
Don't you get it? Oddities. Weird stuff.
The entire internet.
I mean, the first section's on perfume. Listen, I'm going to level with you. I kind of got distracted, and we went off topic. I don't even know what this is about anymore. Here's my Netflix stand-up special. It should explain everything.
Oh, God. Imagine the internet historian on Netflix.
That's going to be a hard act to follow. That Kramer guy has some very good one-liners. But I've got some jokes lined up. Question. Why is perfume so expensive? Because you have to pay perfume. Why do they call it cologne? Have you ever smelt one of those? It ain't great.
I kind of wish he was an actual stand-up comic. This might actually be pretty funny.
Huh? Mic must not be working. Deodorant? In this market? I'd want a deodor buy. Is this thing on? Okay, let me tell you the story of perfume.
Okay.
See, to be fancy, people wanted to stink good, but people naturally stink bad.
Right.
It's science. So in the beginning, people went to the garden to find the best-smelling things that they could. Here's a photo of the
Okay.
oldest perfume bottles ever found. And what's inside? Just garden stuff that smells nice.
Uh-huh.
But we did not just stop at that, because the story of perfume is...
Oh, were those like those were more for like houses, right? Like you stuff them in there and then it makes your house smell good, right? Not necessarily they would turn them into like liquid and turn them into actual perfume, right?
the story of progress. By the time Cleopatra came around, perfume science had really advanced. You see, Cleopatra loved perfume. In fact, it was said that she had a whole perfume factory. The olfactory, I believe they called it. But this factory wasn't just mashing flowers. They were using emulsifiers, adding resins, creating tinctures. Cleopatra's very own Chanel No. 1 contained cardamom, cinnamon, olive oil, and myrrh. So we've gone from garden to pantry. And she loved spritzing the
Garden era to pantry era.
stuff everywhere. Supposedly even spraying it all over the sails of her ship. That way people could smell her from miles off as she sailed the Nile.
Jeez, I mean, how much would you have to like coat for a ship to have that float across the air? Jeez, that's crazy.
By the early Middle Ages, we had figured out the formula for perfume. Effectively, there are 3 main components: water, alcohol, and the most important bit, the aromatic oil.
I was going to say the most important bit, more alcohol.
Else. And by the way, perfume and cologne are actually the same thing, but in different ratios of these ingredients.
Oh, interesting.
By the
Didn't know that.
1600s, they were trying all sorts of different things. Some things went well. Dude, pine. Pine. What about orange? I call it new car smell. But once global
Pine for new car? No, I like orange, yeah.
trade
Orange
opened
sounds
up,
better.
our taste became more
Refined?
exotic. Out of the pantry and into the petting zoo. For you see, it turns out that animals have been hoarding all of the most bestest perfume smell.
Yeah, there's a... Was it whales for this one? Well, obviously that's a whale, but... it's like a gland in them, right?
Yes. In the olden days, a bunch of manly men would brave very rough seas in order to pull aboard sperm whales. Now, they would cut open the digestive tract and pluck out a secretion of bile called
it was bile. Okay.
ambergris, or in English, grey amber. Sometimes they would harvest the rest of the whale, but eventually ambergris became so valuable
Jeez.
that it was simply more economical to dump the carcass back in the ocean and collect the next batch.
I mean, technically, if you were smart enough about it and you threw it in the right area, sharks would devour the whale anyway, so... Yeah.
Like when you kill a racehorse for its prize-winning jizz and then just leave it there on the tracks. All right, quick science lesson, eggheads.
Yeah, I didn't need to know that.
Ambergris comes from the gross part of the whale. And when the whale eats something quite sharp, let's say human bones,
There we go. Perfect.
the ambergris forms around them and protects the lining of the gut. That's the ambergris' role. That way, as the sharp thing continues down the intestines, the whale doesn't get poked. But if ambergris comes from a whale's digestive tract, what does it smell like? Surely not good. When it's dry, it smells kind of woody and earthy, but when it's wet, it smells like ass. But it's not actually the smell that's the useful function.
Okay.
Ambergris is a fixative. So what it does is heighten and bring out the scent of other things.
Oh.
These flowers, they smell all right, but add some ambergris and, that's the one.
But that's only in liquid form, though, right?
Now, once they figured this out, they realized, there's a whole bunch of things we can use a fixative for. And they got quite gross with it. They added it to food.
Yeah.
In fact, it was said that King Charles's favorite dish was ambergris on eggs. But they didn't stop there. They added it to...
I mean, it might taste good. It sounds like it'd be awful, but it might taste good.
rum. They added it to coffee.
I mean, with rum, you probably wouldn't notice what you're drinking anyway.
They added it to cigarettes and smoked it, and they used it as an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh,
Now,
jeez.
some people will say that the whale is a mammal.
I swear, there's so many things that happened in SpongeBob that were just so bad out of context. Even in context,
But that's not strictly true. It is, in fact, a fish. Just look at the tail. And you may have also heard that there are a lot fewer of them these days, which, although a relief because their absence helps offset the sea level change, climate, whatever,
really?
We were worried that we might run out. So we said no more hunting whales for amber.
Well, certain countries said no more hunting whales. Lots of countries, though, are like, yeah, we don't really care.
But did that stop the perfumers? No. They immediately asked, hey, do you think there are any other animals that smell kind of weird? Yes. Turns out the musk deer has some potential. Now, we hunt the male musk deer specifically because it has a particular gland called a musk pod, which, when dried out, looks like this. And it uses it to mark its territory and attract mates. Now, don't worry. Unlike ambergris, this doesn't smell like ass. Instead, it smells like ammonia and piss.
Yeah, all the normal things you want things to smell like.
And you just can't get a smell like that at home. So we started hunting them to the point where they were a protected species.
That seems to be a problem with us. We like to hunt a lot of things until they're need to be protected, don't we?
So the authorities said, you have to find a different animal. So from there they moved on to hyrax feces. One of the most
Okay. Well, the upside of that is you don't actually have to hunt things. You just get to force feed something, right?
Weird and dangerous animals in
Which is also bad.
all of Africa. And it was the inspiration for the original Lynx Africa smell.
Now, their
course
feces,
it was.
when dried, is called hyraceum, or Africa stone.
Does it
But
kinda
it's not
look like
just these
stones?
ones, they have other stones in Africa. Come on, guys. Now, the smell is fairly similar to deer musk, but unlike the deer, the hyrax doesn't need to be killed or disturbed for their feces. They're just giving it away. In fact, hyrax even have a communal toilet, which is used for generations, which makes it very easy to
pick up.
collect up all the good stuff. But it's not just the hyrax, I've got other animals. Remember those civets from the virus videos? Wait, don't wash that thing's anus. Mom, get the bottle.
Oh,
Turns
God.
out it's the anal gland of the civet that's actually the important smelling bit. Who's figuring this out? Why don't they use the good parts of the animal? It's the bacon part of the bit.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, well, perfume, we know how to make perfume good. Just find the worst smelling thing you can possibly think of, and then we'll combine it together. That'll work.
Anyway, it's the ass that produces all the delicious musk.
It smells like shit.
Right, but it must be good for something because it goes for
Holy
$4,000 a
crap.
kilo. But we ain't done yet. You know when you've just killed a beaver and you cut open its ripe abdomen? Well, the reason it smells so good is because of a little gland called the castor sac, which makes a yellowy scum-like substance called castoreum. And it is used to waterproof the beaver's fur coat and also mark its territory. It is also very fragrant. And you know what that means. If it smells, it sells. And in this case, castoreum is more kind of leathery, with smoky hints of vanilla. But unfortunately today, you're not allowed to harvest the beaver. They're walking around very smugly, just like the other protected animals. But you know what? We
We just like to kill everything to extinction, huh? All right.
don't need them, because we have a synthetic version
There
of
we go.
castoreum now, and it's just as good. And you know what? We've got a synthetic for the whale, the deer, and the civet.
That's not good enough for people. They want to kill things.
And they're used in lots of mainstream perfumes. Modern day, we've got a synthetic version of practically everything. And
That's
even
true.
better, the advancement of synthetics has opened up a huge range of smells that were never possible to distill or capture before. And the
Man, that's a lot of perfume bottles and cologne bottles.
result is some very silly perfumes. You know that bacon bit of the pig?
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got that now. Windex smell.
They have a Windex. I mean, is this one for? Assuming this isn't fake, is this one for what do you want to call it? Like toilets or something like that?
Smelling pretty much anything you can think of, really.
Okay, I want to try the toast one.
Someone has
Jeez,
created a
flame grill. When did Burger King create one?
fragrance of it. In some instances, we're even beating nature herself. For example, you know those roses that you get at the florist?
Yeah.
And then people go, these smell beautiful.
Oh, let me guess. They're sprayed with rose oil, huh?
But actually, those roses are not bred to smell good. They're so specialized for good looks, longevity, and disease resistance that they've practically altogether lost their smell.
Yeah.
So often what the florist will do is add an additional scent to the flower post-picking. And typically a synthetic rose perfume is used because it lasts longer and doesn't dry out the flower.
People would be so pissed off with that knowledge. That's funny.
Yep, we're just that good. And what's the future for perfumes? Well, I don't know. But what I do know is it's going to involve some comedy gold. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. My wife asked me for Chanel number 5, and I was like, not right now. I'm watching the football. You know, on the television. You know what? I am going to say it. If it's good enough for Kramer, it's good enough for me. Ad time.
Oh, God.
This Christmas, she works in the big city.
Busy professional, my career, this and that.
But she's going home for Christmas.
Small towns are the worst. I'm a big city career gal.
I mean, I understand how VPNs are great and all, but there's a lot of things that VPNs have problems with, and that's unless you have a dedicated IP address VPN, you're still going to have a lot of issues with actually logging into quite a few places.
Oh
Because
my
you're still
God,
all
are
sharing
you
the
okay?
IP address with people.
I am now.
And she's about to learn the meaning of Nordmas. The most VPNist time of year with a 30-day money-back guarantee if you go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian. Ha 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 ha. Soon I will have installed
gosh.
public Wi-Fi in all of Nordville, and once they use it,
I want Nordville. I want that to
their
be a
private
thing.
data will be exposed.
Governor Craven's got this town by the baubles, and I can't believe that big city company you work for works with him.
Come on, we have to put up the Nordmas lights for the big Nordmas festival.
What? Let's go ice skating. What?
He's so cute, but I'm a city girl.
Girl, you sound like you're in love.
I thought I knew what Nordmas meant, but it means nothing without you.
It's like the end of March.
It's
This is better than 95% of all the Christmas movies altogether combined.
always Nordmas time of year with Nord's huge discount on a 2-year plan. Use the URL nordvpn.com/internetstory for a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's the best VPN in town.
Now I love small town, and I'm in love with Nordman, but I can't leave behind big city Korea.
True love and a really good VPN don't come around too much. You gotta take a chance.
Boss, I don't care about making partner at the firm anymore. I've
That's a horrible idea. Oh my God.
found my new home.
Big public Wi-Fi is spreading across the city. Nordmas will be ruined.
Ho, ho, ho. Need a hand?
How are we gonna stop him, Nordman?
With this Nord-themed brick.
I love you, Nordman.
And I love
yep,
you,
bricks.
big city woman. Let's go home and watch the international Netflix catalog.
It's a Nordmas miracle.
I'd say I lost brain cells for this, but honestly, this is better than 95% of the other commercials I've watched on NordVPN.
Go to
So
nordvpn.com/internethistorian to get a
Yay.
huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus Nordmas months. Ad's over.
You know, that ad makes me think about the time I nearly had a wife. Feels like a lifetime ago now. I was in Japan, living the digital nomad lifestyle. I had a startup selling seashells down by the seashore. But I broke the one rule of being a digital nomad. I got mad.
I was gonna say went outside.
Digitally. And that's when I saw her. It was love at first sight.
I love the different hairstyle. It's perfect. Just chef's kiss, perfect.
I remember her laugh. Her touch. Every morning,
Oh,
breakfast
Jesus.
in bed.
That just like we're gonna go back because that just felt horrible in my head.
Sight. I remember her laugh.
I mean, that could be worse.
Her touch.
That was really bad though. That's just awful.
Every morning, breakfast in bed.
Monsters and cigarettes. Oh God.
But the truth was, I had no money. We couldn't live on love alone. So I left. I sought out.
Wait, what? One second. My headset cut off.
But the truth was, I had no money. We couldn't live on love alone. So I left. I sought out.
Okay. No, it looks like all the video gets cut here. Did did this get copyright claimed? It sounds like it was copyright claimed and he just muted this whole section. It's like all the audio is muted.
And I bet you
It was totally copyright claimed. Oh, that's great. Yeah, if you that rarely happens on my videos 'cause I try not to react to videos that have copyright claim issues. But there are sections where you're allowed to delete just the music, but in this case, he had to delete all the audio in a whole section in order to even post the video.
Wondering how I finally struck it rich. Well, truth is,
That's funny.
I'm the guy who invented the Joe Rogan podcast.
I'm not sure if it.
Once I
that much
became a
money.
gajillionaire, I went back to that beach to try and find her. But instead, I hit her with my boat. We never found her body. But she had a secret. One she took to her grave that I was sworn not to tell. She's not around, so... Dude, she was a mermaid!
All right.
Come on, champ, we're going to Japan. And here's where it all begins. In the year 2022.
Okay.
It's a Tuesday, probably. And local folklore researcher Hiroshi Kinoshita is looking up some fantastical animals in the National Yokai Dictionary. It's like the bestiary from Witcher, right? And he comes across a photo negative of a mermaid mummy. Oh my god, he says in Japanese. Upon seeing the mermaid, he knows that he must track it down. He must form a team. Researchers, assemble! So he gets together the best damn crew that he can from the University of Science and Arts at the Okayama Prefecture.
I like how everyone in there is just like, I don't want to be here. This is like half the people were like, yeah, this is fun. The other half of the people were like, just kill me now.
And he plans to track down the mermaid mummy, wherever it has escaped to. Now, it doesn't take him long to figure out that it's being held at the Inuin Temple in Asakuchi. You know the one. So he struts up to the sacred building. And there at the back of the temple is a fireproof safe. And inside of that is an old wooden box. And inside the old wooden box was the mermaid. We found it! We found a real one! But where did it come from? Well, alongside the mermaid was a note that dated back from 1903, and it said, a dried human fish, aka Ningyo, was caught almost 300 years ago over in the seas of Tosa.
Is this thing fake?
It was then dried out and taken to Osaka. And from there, it was passed around to many different people until it arrived at the temple. Now, the Ningyo have an important history in Japan, and sightings of these half-fish, half-human creatures have cropped up all across the country. Kinoshita himself had personally tracked down 13 of them all across Japan, usually kept in museums and temples.
It still sounds like someone like created it fake, but maybe not.
However, what you might not know is that traditionally they have been associated with bad omens. Aye. And everyone knows the infamous tale of Yao Bikuni.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'll recite it to you just in case.
Okay.
So the story is that one day, a poor fisherman catches the biggest fish of his life. It was a strange-looking fish, and its head was almost human-like. But he brought the fish home and invited all of his friends and family to come over for a feast to celebrate his largest catch. You know, he's got his arms stretched out like this. He's like, it was this big. No, it was this big. I swear, it was this big. During dinner, one of the guests sneaks into the kitchen to see just how big it was. This big, I
Okay, and then they freak out.
can't believe it. And he discovers that it is actually a Ningyo. Oh no, he says in perfect Japanese. Now he quickly warns the other guests, don't eat it. And he warns them just in time. Teishi! They've got their fork, like, right up to their mouth. Teishi eating that! Teishi, don't do it! They throw all their food away. Let's just have some rice and drink the night away. Okay, so they do. And they have a lovely evening. However, one very dishonorable
I actually now want to go read this entire story.
guest
Because it sounds
decided to sneak a
interesting.
bit of the meat out of the trash and put it in his pocket. He then goes home drunk and falls asleep. He didn't eat it. But when he woke up the next morning, he checks his pockets and... no! The delicious fish piece is gone. Turns out In the night, his daughter had been rummaging around in his pockets looking for
Why? Okay.
treasure, and she
What treasure are you gonna find in your dad's pocket? Oh God, this just got way worse in my head. Ah, gosh dang it!
found the meat from his pocket.
and she was such a greedy guts that she decided to eat it then and there. The father was terrified for his daughter.
But she didn't seem to be sick. Do you feel weird at all? And shaking her. He decided not to tell her anything. Maybe it'll all be okay. However, from that day forward,
The daughter never aged.
that's right.
She remained a young adult forever.
Okay.
She eventually went on to marry. But as her husband got older, she stayed the same age. Eventually her father got old and died. And soon enough did her husband too. Everyone she ever knew was getting older and dying, but she remained the same age. She was immortal. Eventually,
At age 120,
she decided to shave her head and become a Japanese nun. She traveled the country,
Okay, so the father would have been like, "Oh, give me more of that fish, dang it!"
planting trees as she went. And she did this for 800 years.
Okay.
but eventually she grew tired.
You know what? I'm tired of living. She entered a cave in her hometown of Obama. And she was determined to never come out again. She begged and prayed for the curse to end, but it never did.
I mean, I know it's probably not pronounced that way, but okay.
She sat in that cave for so long that she turned to stone.
Okay, this story has got to be missing some parts because they're the author's like, yeah, this sounds legit. I need another hit of something. Yeah, let's give me some more of those drugs.
And today, at the Kuinji Temple in Obama, remains the cave that Yao Bakuni entered.
Okay.
People have been into that cave to check whether she's still in there, but nothing was found. However, a stone statue of her resides at the entrance. And colloquially, it is called the Bar Rock Obama. So we're back with Hiroshi. He asked
Yeah, I don't know if it's called that, but okay, we're just gonna go with that.
Inuan temple if he could borrow the Nino. Look, let me do a little CT scan on it, right? And they agreed.
Sure.
Hiroshi hands the Nino to a team of scientists and they get to work. They do their tests. Beep, beep, boop. Control plus scan on the keyboard. And here are the results.
It's stage 4 cancer. I'm so sorry.
No, but really, turns out the Nino dates back to the 1800s. The note that said it was from the 1700s was wrong. Its body is made from cloth and cotton, wrapped in pufferfish skin. The tail was made from a croaker. I don't know what that is. What is it?
Yeah, so it's just a fake. Okay,
We
I
show
get
that
it.
on the screen.
Yeah.
With the mouth
That's what
of
I
a
thought it
different
was.
fish and the hair of a mammal. And they can see that there's a metal nail in its back. Oh my god, it's invented tools. The forensic analysis and the construction materials in its back did cast some doubt over its authenticity. But you gotta believe in something, damn it.
Sure, why not?
As promised, the Nino was returned to the Enuan Temple, where it still lives today. But where, oh where, did my mermaid go? It's her! You're back! You know what, I kind of missed you. And what the hell is that?
Daddy.
Oh no, don't run her. Don't,
You know what, I never
not
did
again.
find her again. I think these things are a big myth.
That was so terrifying. Oh gosh, that was funny. I don't know why I
We're
didn't expect
here
that.
on the ancient streets of Cairo, and there is our destination. In these triangles, the greatest
Triangles.
luxury that
Yep.
all the elites crave.
Okay.
Oh, God. No, not that. The second most thing that mummies.
Sure.
You can find them in these tombs, and there's only ever like one dude guarding them. But before we must understand. Mummification started over 5,000 years ago, and they were first discovered by the Europeans in the 15th century.
Didn't some people get mummified alive or something like that? I can't remember what.
The legend goes the locals knew about them even earlier than that.
It's an elaborate process, but essentially, you're drying the person out, turning them into a human salami. All right, so when the Europeans found all these mummies, what do you think they did?
Ate them?
Put it in a museum, right?
No.
Wrong.
There's no way
They
they
used
did
these
that.
mothers for everything, and everybody wanted them. What do you mean they used them for everything? Well, fancy people would take whole mummies and show them off to their friends at fancy dinners. To really show off the owner's wealth, they would sometimes unwrap them too. They were used as paint. They call this mummy brown by.
Gee, that just sounds like a lot of. I mean, I guess this it sounds like a lot of what happens in Europe. They like to spread out and steal a bunch of stuff from a lot of people, don't they?
By the way, they were used as fertilizer.
Oh man, talk about supercharging your soil.
They were even consumed.
Don't mind if I do.
No, not like this. By grinding them up into powder and taking them like a herbal supplement, which they called mumia. But with such
that
high
sounds
demand
awful.
for your mum, after a while, they began to run out of stock.
No.
Uh-oh. They were becoming rarer and rarer to find. They were being gobbled off the face of the earth. So the authorities passed a bunch of laws to protect mummies from becoming altogether extinct. These are the last two of their species, and they're both male, but they won't mate. No. But the mummy is much like the Tasmanian tiger. Every once in a while,
different chair.
one will just kind of show up and prove that they're not
I freaked out for a second because I thought that was my door, and I was like, "What? That's not right."
altogether extinct.
Open the door.
The year 2013. The location, Diefels in northwest Germany. We are at the Kettler household, owned by grandfather Kettler, who is now dead. But he had a son,
I
Lutz
kind of like
Kettler,
that house.
and Lutz Kettler also had a son, Alexander Kettler.
I like
and they
that
are
kitchen.
both there at the
Probably
house.
not that house, but okay. I'm gonna
After a
assume it
rainy
is.
day, there was a leak in the roof. So 10-year-old Kettler gets up into the attic
So you
to
can get
explore,
mummified accidentally?
have a bit of a look around. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Old antiques, photographs, and, some old roof tiles. Those will be useful. So he goes over to the roof tiles and, behind them is something strange. A box. A mystery box.
Oh.
Now, the kid is smart and he's seen Jumanji, so he knows not to touch the box and instead go tell his dad.
Really?
Now, the dad drags the box into the center of the room. And he opens it. And inside, a smaller box. But it's very curious because it is covered in hieroglyphs.
Was this like stolen during like the Nazi invasion type thing?
So, Lutz crosses his fingers, hoping nothing supernatural will happen. And he opens the inner box. Inside is a mummy. Oh my god. But there's more. There's also two smaller boxes. One contained a death mask, and the other a canopic jar. Alright, so he might have a dead body in the house now. So naturally, he calls the authorities. The police show up and ask some questions. Lutz then explains a little bit of backstory. He remembers that in the 1950s, his father went to Derna in Libya. There, he acquired a chest and had it shipped back home. He remembers a conversation about it, but grandfather Kettler insisted that it was a replica.
Das ist ein Replika, son.
Yeah, what if it was a replica?
Not a real mummified person. Now, at this point, the police did not think it was a real body, but it was worth getting it scanned just in case.
Right.
So he loaded it up in his station wagon, and off he went to the Berlin Archaeological Institute.
I'm surprised they wouldn't just sent someone to pick it up for him.
They agreed to do a scan, and so they're fiddling with buttons and dials and stuff, and it's fake, right? It's fake? Well, here's
No.
where things get a little more dramatic. Results inconclusive. There is a
Interesting.
fully formed skeleton here. Now, that is unusual for a fake. Often a fake will just be shaped like a person, then
Right.
filled with sticks and cloth and rubbish. However, it got even stranger. They found that all of the bones were wrapped in some sort of metal plating or foil. Next, they looked at the skull, and that's where things were the most odd. It was very realistic. Its teeth had roots. Its form was more intricate than the typical
Murder victim?
fake. It also had a laurel, but even more notably, there was an arrowhead lodged in the eye socket. Now that is very unusual for a fake. Hold on, I got more evidence to do. So they're doing more tests and stuff. All right, we've carbon tested the linen wraps. What's the verdict? Well, those are from the 1900s.
Yeah.
Now the plot is thickening.
It sounds like a murder victim. Holy crap.
We have a supposed fake mummy, but with a very realistic skull, perhaps murdered by an arrow to the head and bandages that date to the modern day. That presents a new problem, because it's not unheard of for people to do a murder in the modern day and then cover things up by disguising the body as an ancient artifact. For example, in the year 2000, there was a man who claimed he found the mummy of an ancient Persian princess, the daughter of Xerxes. However, when they examined the body, they found it was, in fact, a potential murder victim from 1996 who died from bludgeoning. All right, so the police now actually have to get involved, and it's about to get even more complicated.
Policey.
So they confiscate the body and they do their own tests, and the results
Oh, gosh. Start eating
this
it.
time say, nope, this thing is 2,000 years old. It's not fake at all. It's ancient.
Okay, so then that would just make it so they just rewrapped it, right?
What? So eventually the experts all get together and go, okay, this is dumb. Let's take it to Eppendorf University and have it properly tested, and not just tested, crack the thing open like a delicious Kinder Surprise. So this new set of experts gets to work, and when they open up the mummy... Alright, remember how we said that the bones were covered in a special type of foil or metal plating?
Right.
Well, it turns out the scientists didn't quite get that right. Instead, the bones were sprayed with a metallic chemical that prevented X-rays from going through. The
Interesting. Jeez, and this is how old?
bones were made from plastic.
Oh, okay. So it's still a fake, okay? So, smart fake.
Or at least, the body was. Turns out, the skull is real.
What the hell is going on with this one? So, body's fake. He's got a skull of potentially a murder victim because there's an arrowhead in this guy's, or this person's face. But they're like, yeah, I only have a skull, but I really like mummies, so I'm gonna make a fake mummy. Why would they have painted it silver? Maybe to make it last longer, or metal, or whatever?
Yes, a real skull, and not from an ancient mummy, but from a 20th century man.
Well, okay.
However, it was not a murder. This skull is from a cadaver, and it was medically prepared for educational purposes. And what about that arrowhead? Well, it turns out that that's from a children's toy. Someone just popped that in the eye socket as a joke.
Wow, this is like a long-running, insane, like, it's like setup. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna make this as a time capsule. Yeah, and I'm gonna like hide it in my house for for decades and just never tell anyone about it.
So finally, the mystery was solved. It's just a plastic skeleton with a real dead guy's head put on it. Wait, how does that solve the mystery?
It doesn't.
Anyway, so Lutz was satisfied that the whole thing was fake and not a murder victim. Oh, let's put that back in the attic, he said very Germanly. But then, eine Bitte? Was ist das? He says. Another box?
Jeez, how many boxes were in this place?
A Book of the Dead? Well, that sounds like a fun read. So Lutz starts reading the ancient Egyptian out loud. Anaxunamun, Imhotep, Brendan Fraser. And what happened
Fraser.
next will shock you and make for a very good thumbnail.
It's just, As much as I liked Goosebumps as a kid, I don't want to watch it ever again.
Hey there, champ. You're probably wondering why I'm out here on this park bench.
I don't wonder why you do anything anymore, Internet
Sometimes
Historian.
I just come to see the autumn leaves. Winter will be here soon. Dust in the wind. Truth is, sport, I have a highly contagious respiratory disease. I won't be around much longer. Dust in the wind. I'm like Willy Wonka from that movie. And you're like that ugly kid from the Willy Wonka movie who gets
Is it like alluding to the fact that he might have COVID or something or
all his
COPD?
stuff.
But he's like
Or the Oompa Loompa.
crushing it up and like pushing it, just like blowing into people's faces. That's funny.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. The point is you're so close to being fancy. I can feel it. There's just one lesson left to learn.
Press the subscribe button.
Anyway, speaking of ancient Egypt, here's this ancient Egyptian gun. Franz Ferdinand, what are you doing here? Of course, he's not the real Franz Ferdinand. He's a mummy. Now, the thing about the ancient Egyptian gun is that it's very Uh-oh. I hit your congratulations for being somewhat fancy cake.
Well, at least Franz Ferdinand is fine.
Come on, Mr. Ferdinand. We've got to clean this up before the Park Services Commission hears about this, and they make another complaint. Right, we're almost done with the series, and then it's back to the usual content. So in case you missed it, there's also Drinking on Incognito, a new story mode out next week. And if you like fancy, that's great. But if you don't like fancy, don't worry, it's not forever.
It should be forever.
Goodbye. Ooh. Don't forget NordVPN.
That was a weird one. It was definitely interesting. And the cool thing about this one is, even though it had 3 separate parts with it, it stayed on topic within those 3 parts, which is great. That was my only complaint with theater, but other than that, this one was really well done. Anyway, have a good day, everyone.